Theo, co-host is Mike Dewan, Zach Miller producing the halftime report as we are a halftime on our game night built by Von Tobel. Hobart at New Prairie. It's all New Prairie so far, 34-7 at halftime. It's 34 unanswered points by the Cougars. We'll talk about that one in a little bit, but let's go over some of our other scores that you can view on our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. Of course, you can view it on our Facebook and YouTube page. So going into the third quarter, the LaVille Lancers lead the Andrean 59ers 11-8. Hanover Central, they are doing what they do best and is dominating 35-0 so far over Calumet. The Culver Eagles at the Inferno, up 14-7, a very close one right there. Flipping our page, the Rensselaer Central Bombers leading the Griffith Panthers 28-0 on the road. The Boone Grove Wolves, that high-powered offense we talked about, up by 1. It's 7-6 at halftime. The KV Cougars lead the Westside Cougars 22-16. That one heading into halftime as well. So KV trying to get back on track after their loss against Munster. West Lafayette leads River Forest 28-7 in the third quarter. The Culver Cavaliers trying to get their first one, 0-9 entering tonight's game. Well, they lead 34-8 against the South Central Satellites. And then the Highland Trojans, they lead 21-0 against the East Chicago Cardinals. But we'll go to our game night now, built by Von Tobel. That's the one that a lot of our viewers are viewing on ihsatv.org. So if you're coming from there and joining us here now, thank you so much, and we hope to provide you some fun and laughs while we got these 15 minutes. But Mike, it's been a one-sided game. It started so promising for Hobart. They had their first drive. It was only 3 plays. It was 3 runs. Johnny Sorensen, the QB keeper. But since then, man, has New Prairie flipped a switch. It seems like something totally changed after that touchdown. I don't know if New Prairie got aggressive, they got mad how that game started, and they just kicked it into another gear. But we'll go over the game log in a little bit. But for right now, Mike, for New Prairie, I mean, this is just dominating. I mean, both teams 7-2. And we talked about this is a New Prairie team that lost to a LaPorte team that's had its struggles this year. This looks like a New Prairie team that could beat anybody the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, it was quite shocking. After the first drive for Hobart, we were kind of thinking of where we're gonna stream their game next week, and now it's uphill climb. It's uphill climb for them. We have a half left, but it's an uphill climb. And again, credit to New Prairie. I think with what they did, they just played their game. When you go down 7-0, to a great team like Hobart on the first drive, give up 3 plays, they score. It's often to kind of get into panic mode. And what New Prairie did, I mean, they just slammed it down their throats for the next quarter and a half. And it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, all they're running is counter plays basically. Little QB keepers. It's simple offense, but Hobart just can't seem to stop it. And they're doing their part on special teams as well. They had that big block punt for a touchdown that got their last score of the half, but they just bounced back real quickly, and they're a solid team from what we see so far.
Yeah, New Prairie will get the ball to start the second half, but Mike, if you're Craig Osico, what are you telling your team right now? Because you start on that high, you're up 7-0 on the road, you got all your fans there, and now your opposing team has scored 34 unanswered points. Your season's on the line. You have 1 half left to keep your season alive. As a coach, what are you telling your players?
I mean, you're going to have to dig deep. This is the team that has been down before, maybe not to this team, to this level of a team, and this big of a deficit going on the road and on crappy field conditions, as we could kind of see. But you have to kind of find something to dig deep and play for somebody, whether it's yourself, whether it's for the seniors that may be playing their last game as a Hobart Bricky. Find something to play for, and don't just lie down to New Prairie and just go out like this. You have to come out strong in the second half. It's going to be tough going out on defense against a hot New Prairie offense, but you have to find something to get some momentum back on your side and maybe spark a comeback, get something going for the Brickies.
Now, for New Prairie, what would you say to them? Because although they do have this large lead, if they let up, Hobart has every chance to come back in this game with their high-powered offense.
Yeah.
So, when a team is got this large of a lead, they're feeling comfortable, they're feeling good, they're going into halftime in the locker room with all smiles, they're probably laughing and everything. What are you telling your team to keep them focused on this game and to keep their foot on the gas?
Yeah, that's it right there. Don't let up. I don't expect them to do much different because Hobart hasn't had an answer for any counter plays or quarterback keepers or the passes here and there, but it's, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But just keep it going. This game's not over yet. Hobart, as we've said, they've shown they can come back from substantial leads, and this is a very talented team that New Prairie is playing, and they have to keep doing what they're doing. Don't let up until the white flag is raised. So it's just, as simple as it is. It's what they have to do, and it's you just have to know how to close out games, no matter if you're up by 7 at half or up by what New Prairie is. You have to learn how to win, especially against a good team like Hobart, and move on to the next round, especially in this type of playoff format that we got going on now.
Yeah, well, here's how the score became 34-7. Like we said, Johnny Sorensen on that first drive was all 3 runs, and Willie Shear had a couple big runs as well as a QB keeper for a touchdown. On that next drive, the New Prairie quarterback, Marshall Kamisic, 57-yard touchdown run of his own with 9:31, then tied it at 7. Reed Robinson, a 5-yard touchdown run. That gave them the lead at 14-7 with 6:06 to go in that first quarter. On that next drive, Hobart had a turnover on downs. There was a pass to TJ Caldwell that if it is caught cleanly, that would have been a touchdown. It was dropped in the end zone with 2:18, and that was a turnover on downs. And on that next drive, Marshall Kamisic started with a 68-yard pass to his brother Bo, and then another QB keeper. This one only 4 yards, and that was 21-7 to end the first quarter. They kept their foot on the gas going into that second quarter. And for Hobart, they almost responded very well. They had a 49-yard pass from Sorensen to Caldwell, but later in that drive, a turnover on downs when they had every opportunity to make it a 21-14 game. Well, what does New Prairie do? On the first play after that turnover on downs, Reed Robinson flashing down the sideline, 92-yard rushing touchdown, made it 28-7 with 3:22, and things just got worse for Hobart. On a punt, 4th and 10, a little bit of a questionable call as there were maybe offsides, we're not 100% sure, but Dylan Wilson blocked the punt. It was caught and returned by Trenton Clute. Clute had one man to beat, and like Chris Berman says, he goes, whoop! And he beat him to the end zone for a touchdown for 50 yards. But a fumble on the snap on the extra point made it 34-7. And that's where we stand in the first half. So Kamisic, 2 touchdowns. Robinson, 2 touchdowns. New Prairie with a special teams touchdown, I should say. 34 unanswered points. They get the ball in the second half. I don't know why I pulled that one out.
Our poor producer, Zach Miller, man, you blew out his headphones, I think. He's got his headphones over here.
He gave me the inspiration before
that was a good little move on the punter.
You two were giving me the inspiration, but Dylan Wilson with the block punt, Trenton Clute picked it up. He made a couple of juke moves, had one man to beat, and
whoops.
Made a little cut right there. And 34-7. It's shocking just to say this is a very good Hobart team, and New Prairie's really good as well. I really said these are pretty even teams. It's as even as it can get.
So.
Especially in the first round of sectionals, but maybe it is that long bus ride. It's been a long day for Hobart, and now they finally get out there and they start hot, and maybe all the gas out, all gas, no brakes, and maybe they hit the gas a little too hard, and their stamina, their energy's a little low. So maybe this halftime, look, I think Craig's going to say it. You guys got one half to play football. You seniors, I think especially guys like Sorensen and Caldwell, you got one half to play high school football.
And that's it.
If you want to keep playing next Friday, well, leave it all out there.
That's it. You can't let it hit you after the whistle. It has to hit you now. And that often is a feeling, at least in my opinion, that you don't really realize it's your last until you're not suiting up on a Friday night. It goes by so quick, and you can take it for granted. So again, with Coach Osika, it's just let it all out. You guys kind of don't have nothing to lose. It's already been a pretty crappy half. It's only up from here, hopefully. But yeah, one would ask. I mean, you mentioned about the game log a little bit. Hobart had 2 chances to score, in my opinion, and I think New Prairie took advantages of all the opportunities Hobart has given them. So it's a game of a couple plays go Hobart's way. We could be looking at the second half a little bit differently, but it's. Again, shout out to New Prairie that they came to play for sure. Again, one would ask, we didn't really know that the weather conditions out in New Prairie. It rained a little bit on that grass field and a little bit muddy, a little bit slick. We've seen a couple Hobart and New Prairie players slipping around, but it's New Prairie's taking advantage, and it's been all gas, no brakes for them either. So for them, again, they got to keep it up, and Hobart, they got to find something to spark some momentum and get going in the second half.
You mentioned those 2 of those turnover on downs. On the first one, the first play after that was a 68-yard pass. that gave them great field position on the Hobart side
they
of the
scored
field.
2 touchdowns off of.
And two off those, and then obviously the block punt return. So, I mean, 3 crucial errors by the Hobart Brickies have led to 3 touchdowns by New Prairie. And, I mean, look, you can say what if, that, and that, but nevertheless, it would have been, I believe, 27 to 7, or no, it'd be 21-7 really. Basically, if you take some of those touchdowns away, so
yeah, it's like
you're kind of looking at it, and obviously you're going to look at the box score and say, well, if we did that and that, but that's the thing about playoffs is whatever happens, you have to take. You know, if it's a gut punch, you got to take that punch. What's the matters is how you're going to respond.
Yeah, you could talk about what ifs all the time,
Yeah.
but it's you got to execute. You can't look at excuses. Crap happens, to keep it lightly, keep it PG, but it's it's playoff football. You got to roll with the punches, and you got to have backup plans for whatever may happen. And New Prairie seems to have them, and Hobart, we got to find them in the second half.
And maybe in the regular season, you can live with those mistakes at times because you do have next week.
You have leeway, yeah.
But now you don't. This is all you have. So once again, New Prairie leads Hobart 34-7. Here's the other scores that you can view on our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Bantil. Once again, LaVille up on Andrain 11-8. Hanover up on Calumet 35-0. Culver ahead of Lowell 14-7. Like we said, New Prairie ahead of Hobart 34-7. Our game night built by Von Tobel. Rensselaer over Griffith so far at halftime 28-0. Boone Grove up by 1 against Twin Lakes, 7-6 in the third quarter. KV leads Westside 22-16. Culver Cavaliers leads South Central 34-8. West Lafayette leads River Forest 28-7, and Highland leads 21-0. Well, our game night built by Von Tobel. Hobart at New Prairie should be starting soon. That second half, which you can view on ihsaatv.org. If you're joining us from that game, just use that same link you were watching it from. And if you haven't watched that game yet, go look through our Facebook page or on our Quintel Kickoff show. We had the link posted all over today, so you guys would be able to view that one. Mike, any final words before we send it off to our game night built by Von Tobel?
It's almost another week in the books, man. Another half left to play for some of these teams. Another quarter left for some of these. It's again agony of defeat and thrill of victory. A lot of tears going to be shed on probably both sides, both sidelines throughout the region, and it's the beauty of it. It's the reality of it. It's what it makes it all fun. So
well, we're not done yet.
No,
we're going to be back for the RSN wrap-up show,
the nightcap.
The nightcap. What a way to end your night with myself and Mike and Zach Miller. That's one way to do it, but that will take place after the conclusion of our game night built by Von Tobel, Hobart at New Prairie. But for myself, Mike, and Zach, thank you for joining us for the Hose Connections halftime report in our Sentier Bank studios as you're watching us on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.